we wanted to walk you through the financial value transparency and gainful employment dashboard that is available once you are active with the service with us. So just a quick start to finish of the process. Once you log into the Clearinghouse, you will go to the Student Reporting tab at the top left, and then the FVT GE Reporting Dashboard link, and that's going to take you to the landing site here. I wanted to point out the main menu on the left-hand side. There is an option for the Student Lookup tab, so those of you that do enrollment reporting, as you move through this, if there are student enrollment updates that need to be made, you can quickly navigate there to make those updates. The next section I want to point out is the service profile on the left-hand side as well. Once you click on that, you will see 4 additional tabs in the middle of the screen. The first one is the service agreement details. This is your agreement when you signed with us and when you activated with us. There is some contact information there as well for you. The second tab is the users tab. This is going to be users who have the user administrator role, as well as the users that you assign the new roles of the financial aid officer and the financial aid viewer role. Once you have those roles, you also want to make sure that you give yourself the submission data alternate role or the submission data role. You need the submission data alternate role or the submission data role when you're going to be graduating students in the graduate reconciliation report and the blue tile and submitting data to us. You have to have one of those roles added to the officer role. It's very important when assigning these roles that you only have the officer or viewer role. Please do not assign yourself both of those roles, as it will cause issues. The next tab I want to talk about is the report management tab. And that is going to tell you the type of file reporting that you're doing with us. So once you select either transitional reporting or standard student file reporting with us, it will populate here so you can see where you are in the process and also let you know the program level report status as well. The most important tab I want to talk about, though, is the report encryption tab. This is the key point in the whole dashboard process that you'll want to do first. You'll either want to give this to your IT team, or you can certainly do it yourself. It's not a complicated process. We did include a link where you can set up your PGP public key. You can certainly use your own PGP programs that your school already has, or we do suggest one within the instructions as well as screenshots. Basically, you're going to generate a public key, and then you copy and paste that entire public key in the box below. That will include the dashes and the begin PGP and the dashes and end PGP key. You do want to include those dashes. Once you've done that and hit submit, it will tell you if you are successful or if there are errors with it. Once you are successful, you can move forward to the actual dashboard. What this is going to allow you to do is when you start the before you begin process, any links that are available moving forward for reports or files or spreadsheets will allow you to download those, and they will be encrypted, and you will have to decrypt those files and reports. Without that key, when users click on those links, they will throw an error. So you'll want to make sure you get that PGP public key in place before you get started. Now, as we move along to the before you begin section in the middle, the first one is the qualifying graduates program tile that we'll go into. You're going to see a pre-populated list of 616 qualifying graduate programs. This list is coming from NSLDS. So this is not populated from your school. All schools will see 616. And based on the definition at the top provided by NSLDS, you're just going to locate programs that are qualifying graduate programs for your institution. Some schools have none, some have 10, maybe you only have one. Locate those programs using the filter code. You can put in the zip code to locate the program that you're looking for, and then select that program and hit Confirm QGP. Once you're done moving all of your programs, you're going to hit that Mark as Complete button that's at the top, and that will complete that section. If you hit that Complete button by mistake, please let us know and we can revert that back for you. What this tile does is it's letting our system know that you have an additional award year that needs to be pulled into your student level report if you have any qualifying graduate programs. The next tile is the graduate status reconciliation tile. This is going to populate a list of students where we received a degree for the student, but not a graduate status on the enrollment side. Typically what we see is if you're active with us from G from DV, we're getting those degree files in, and then we're populating a GNOT applied tab to be worked after each degree file. And sometimes schools were not aware that there's that tab to be worked. So it's presenting those historical students here in order to get them graduated to help you get more completers onto your student level report. Because with that report, we do need 30 completers for that program and the students to be pulled into the file. So this tile is a chance to graduate more completers to potentially pull in more programs and more students into the student level report. So you can work the students one at a time by clicking on their SSN, or you can mass select students. If they all happen to graduate at the same time, you could select the multiple students and hit update the program information or no update needed. When you do update them, there'll be an option to change the withdrawn status to graduated or never attended. And then you can also update the program status effective date. We are seeing some instances where schools have thousands of students listed here to be worked. So a couple things when working this, we want to help you through the process and make it as easy as possible. You can send us a grad only file on the enrollment database side. If you're already submitting those to us monthly or after each conferral, you can generate one of those with the students populated. If that makes it faster and easier for your institution to pull that data and send it that way, you certainly can do that. The other option is to work them here on the screen. And when you do hit the Mark as Complete button, we do create a grad only file on the back end and send it through enrollment reporting. So whoever at your institution does the regular enrollment reporting, just let them know they're going to see this grad only file come through. They'll have to work the errors and warnings on that file, and then it needs to be loaded in the database before you move forward with the student level tile report that we'll get to. If you are seeing a lot of students and your institution has decided to do the transitional file, which is only looking at the 22-23 and 23-24 award years, most institutions are just working students that have a program status effective date of July 1st, 2020 to present day. So that is drastically cutting down on the amount of students that you need to look at to graduate by going that route as well. So that's something that schools have decided to do to help them move along with the process. Again, once you hit complete, that file is created and going to be loaded. So as we go along on the dashboard, we're going to go down to the first tile, which is the completers list. This is a completely separate process than the student level report and program level report. So as you're working, keep that in mind that the completers list is looking at students from 2017 to 2019. The student level report is looking at students in the past 8 award years, if you're doing the standard, or the past 2 years, if you're doing the transitional file. So they are different cohorts of students when working through this whole process. When you go into your completers list, you will see the most recent completers list at the top with a green Build Your Worksheet button, and to the right of that is a Download Draft button as well. You do have the option to download a draft completers list. This is the actual list coming from NSLDS, so if you want to keep a copy or take a look at it, that's where you're going to click to get that. Again, without that PGP key in place, it's not going to allow you to do this. When you click on Build Your Worksheet, you are going to see 3 colored tiles, and we do have a link available above the orange tile for you to download a nice spreadsheet that is going to put every student in the orange tile on one tab, every student in the blue on another, and every student in the green on another. And then the final tab will be your full completers list on that spreadsheet. You can work these tiles in any order, and you can have as many users in here as you want working. One thing schools are doing is they're leaving the blue tile for the registrar's office since it has to do with the enrollment side, and then the orange and green are more for the financial side. So if we go into the orange tile, these are students missing from the completers list. So we basically took NSLDS's logic as well as our ads process where students have received Title IV in the past and presented those students to you here. What you're going to do is go through these students, and again, you can work on them one at a time or bulk update them by selecting multiple students and decide if they should be reported, which means added to your completers list, or not to be reported. And the reason you're going to do this is if you have a student listed and they did receive Title IV from your institution for the zip code listed there, you're going to select that student and move them to be reported, which means added to your completers list. As you work through these, they're going to disappear from the needs review button and move to the to be reported or not to be reported button. And once you're done, you're going to hit mark as complete. This one's a little different than the other tiles we talked about, as when you hit complete, there is no way to go back and undo it. So please make sure you have your students moved where they need to be moved before you hit complete. Once you hit complete, we will send an ads file to NSLDS and add those students to the completers list. Moving on to the blue tile, this is kind of like the graduate reconciliation tile that we previously talked about. The only difference is these are students on your completers list, and they are graduated in NSLDS, but not in the Clearinghouse. This is a chance for you to match the data and clean it up and graduate the students in the Clearinghouse. Nothing you do in this blue tile is going to change your completers list. It's just going to get that graduate status on the enrollment database side for compliance reporting. And the same exact process, you can click on the student one at a time. If you do, you're going to pull up the student's enrollment information. You're going to want to click on that program tab information, and then you'll see a drop down to update that W to a graduate status or a never attended. And then you can update the program status effective date as well there. Once you do hit complete on that blue tile, we will send another grad only file to the enrollment side of things, and then that will need errors and warnings worked as well. And then we will load that in our database. Moving on to the green tile, these are the exclusions that you will see. So these are students on your completers list. It will default to yes in the filter section for an exclusion. And you will see down at the bottom the students and the exclusion type that NSLDS has for that student. So a lot will be deceased, permanently disabled, in-school indicator is a common one. Any of those. What they do not have is if the student is in a prison education program or a CTP program, Comprehensive Transition and Post-Secondary Indicator. If you participate in those programs, you would select those students and then select which indicator they're in and update that exclusion type. If you do not have these two exclusions, you're going to click on the All Students button, and this is going to pull up your entire completers list. This is a chance for you to remove students from your completers list. And the reason you'll do that is as you review the students, if you did not award them Title IV for the zip code listed, you'll mark that student and then hit mark for removal on the right-hand side. And then they're going to move to the button next to the All Students that says Worksheet to be updated in NSLDS. Once you've moved your students around where they need to be, you're going to download that worksheet and save it to your computer. And then you're going to hit mark as complete. Once you hit complete, you cannot go back and undo. So please make sure you have your students move where they need to be. Then whoever has access to NSLDS will log into NSLDS using that worksheet and mark exclusions in NSLDS. That's the one step that the Clearinghouse cannot do. We can add students to your completers list, we just can't remove them. Moving back to the dashboard and onto the student level report tile, please make sure your grad-only files have been loaded in our database before you generate the student level file. Once you've determined that, when you go into the student level report tile, this is where you're going to tell us, are you going to do the standard reporting, which is the last 8 award years, or the transitional reporting, which is the past 2 award years? You're going to test those files, and then it's going to ask you to generate those files. You're going to click generate, and then we're going to go through a process of creating those 8 or 2 files for you. This does take sometimes around 10 minutes. So generate the file, and then you can come back to it once it's ready to be downloaded. Once it is, you'll jump to the next screen. It's going to populate all the award years for you and the files available to be downloaded. There is a link at the top for the layout guide. So this is very important when working the files. The layout guide will let you know what data we are populating in the file, and then what data the school's going to need to populate. And then it's going to also let you know there are going to be TA total amount records or AA award amount records in the 23-24 file. So as you're populating data, some of that data is only specific to AA records, and some of the data is only specific to TA, and some is specific to both. So that layout guide is going to help you determine if you should be populating that data or not. And then there's also an invalid flag indicator in that layout guide. So when you come across students that either, let's say, haven't been awarded Title IV, because you will find some of those, there is an invalid flag indicator that you would put for that student is the status of the letter T. And what that means is the student did not receive Title IV for the zip code listed. And then you would leave all the financial aid fields blank for that student. When you're keying in financial aid data into this file, please do not use dollar signs or decimals round to the nearest whole dollar when populating these fields. It will throw errors if you do upload the file back to us and it has those in it. Once you're done populating those files, you're going to go on to the next screen, and then you're going to see a drag and drop box option for you. You're going to drag and drop each file back to us, and as you upload them and they're successfully uploaded, on the right-hand side, you will see little check boxes appear for the award years so you know where you are in the process. If you're doing transitional, you're just going to see 2 award years, and then the standard, you'll see 8 award years to be uploaded back to us. Once you do that, it's going to run a set of errors and warnings and present them to you here, just like enrollment reporting. You have the option to click on the data corrections button at the top or the links for each file separately. You're going to work the errors. They'll be presented in a tab. There'll also be a tab for warnings and then a tab for the student records if you need to see the student data. It will have a description of the error when you click into the error below on what the error is and how to correct the error. It's going to let you know how many students are affected and if it's a financial or enrollment error and what record type that error is. You will need to correct errors. You do not have to correct warnings, but please acknowledge the warnings. Once you do that, there's going to be a continue and accept button that lights up for you to select. And then we're going to give you a screen that's a little bit of transparency. So the gray box at the top, we're going to let you know what programs we did not pull into your student level report and why we did not. We'll list the zip code of the program, and then we'll tell you why. In the example here, you can see SIP 1234 was not pulled in because we only located 23 completers. Again, you need 30 completers to be pulled into the file. So we're just letting you know what programs were not pulled in. Down below that is the download the consolidated student level report. Once we get your files back, we are going to consolidate the data, so it's going to look a little bit different. You have the option to view and download that, and then you're going to acknowledge it and accept and send to NSLDS. Moving on to the program level report. This tile will not activate until you've sent us your student level reports for the award years 22-23 and 23-24. So please keep that in mind. Then once you go in, it's going to be the same process. You're going to hit that generate button, and then once the file is available, there's going to be a download button there. Click that download and save that file to your computer. Again, there are file layout specifications that you can look at to help you move along when you're filling in the data. And then there is also a sample file template as well. Once you've updated and included the financial aid data to that file, you're going to drag and drop that file back to us. It's going to run a set of errors and warnings as well, just like the student level report. You're going to view those errors and warnings, correct the errors, and then that continue and accept send button will light up green, and then you will send it to NSLDS. Once we send the student level report and program level report to NSLDS, they may come back with additional errors, so please keep that in mind with the January 15th deadline coming. You need to have everything submitted, the completers list, the student level report, and the program level report, as well as correcting any additional errors that NSLDS comes back with. You will receive a notification if they come back with errors, and those tiles will light up with some red wording to let you know there's additional errors to be worked. So once you have done all of those 3 tiles, before you begin section and work the additional errors, you are completed with gainful employment.
Is there a way to mass correct grad status reconciliation, the completers list, the student level, and the program level?
The answer is no, there's not. There are spreadsheets available in each of the tiles as you move along to help you identify students and issues, but there's no way to actually download something, correct it, and re-upload it to us. You just have to move through the process as is and upload the appropriate files back to us. There is a blue announcement space at the top of the dashboard, and you'll want to pay attention to this. We are posting important updates and reminders here almost weekly, especially as we get closer. If there are issues, if there's deadline changes, anything like that, We will post that here. So please, every time you come to this dashboard, pay attention to that announcement space. We are here to help you go through the process and make this as seamless as possible. So please reach out to us if you have questions. There is an email you can contact that will be provided. Thank you.